lest I forget who you are and who you have been. Almighty God, perfect in peace, my champion, all that I need. I will wait for you. I will wait for you. Holy Spirit, come renew all of my strength. Holy Spirit, come renew all of my strength.
In 1 Corinthians 4, Paul writes this. He says, "This, then, is how you ought to regard us as servants of Christ, as those entrusted with the mysteries of God revealed. Now it is required that those who have been given a trust must prove faithful." Paul's actually regarding ministers here. He's talking to spiritual leadership, and he's speaking of his own. You need to understand the context that Paul's writing from. He's formerly Saul of Tarsus, so a master of the Old Testament, and he is looking back at inspiring texts like 1 Samuel 16 or 1 Chronicles, Jeremiah, Psalms, and Proverbs, where we learn that God looks at the heart. He doesn't look at the performance of man. He doesn't look at the exterior. And he's trying to encourage this Corinthians church that he loves to do the same. Stop thinking that God looks at your performance and start looking at the reality of God seeking you purely. God wants to know what's in your heart. He wants to know your motive. He doesn't want to know what you can perform. We have a tendency to look at what we can accomplish, what we can attain, our personalities or our popularity, but God is looking for the pure heart. And so while we as people have a tendency to chase fanfare and fame, Paul, things that Saul of Tarsus would have been incredibly well acquainted with, gave that up to follow Jesus because it was Jesus alone he found peace. In fact, he'd write later, "I would give up a lifetime of the fanfare to be found right here in chains. Because it was here in chains as a ambassador of Jesus, I have found peace, and I have found the one who's faithful to me," just like we sang about. So God is asking us to be just as faithful, to strive for faithfulness after him, because he is always faithful to us, and he doesn't need your performance. What he needs is your pure heart, your pure seeking of him. He loves you, and he wants you to purely love him back. If this inspires you today, if hopefully this encouraged you, if you've been feeling like I'm just not good enough, let that weight fall off and go, God just wants you. And he wants you to purely seek him as faithfully as you possibly can. He doesn't need your eloquent words. He just needs your pursuit. And so I want to encourage you to take a breath, rest. And if you've been inspired by this, would like to go further with this thought, we're going to gather on the corner of South New Hope and Central Pike this week in Hermitage, 6010 South New Hope Road at 10:30. And we're going to worship right through this text, 1 Corinthians 4. We're going to go further with this thought, and we're going to see what it is God is after in us and what we should be doing to strive for him, how we purely worship. So I hope to see you then, but hope today that you find a breath and find rest for your soul. I'll see you then.